When we think of the power of a military, most of us would think of maybe tanks, guns, or aircraft. But surprisingly, when measuring the power of a military, there are many more factors taken into consideration. It is the job of the global firepower to rank 138 countries by each of their weapon numbers and its diversity, their manpower, population, geography, natural resources, financial stability, and state of development. Countries that are equipped with nuclear weapons get bonus points. However, the nuclear stockpiles of a country do not amount in the final score. Countries that are equipped with naval fleets but lack diversity are penalized. However, landlocked countries that do not maintain navies are not penalized. In fact, the global firepower ranking utilizes over 55 factors to determine a country's power index score. The formula that is used makes it fair to all, so it allows smaller, more technologically advanced countries to compete with larger, less developed ones. If any country was to get a perfect power index score of 0.0000, that would be out of this world, as it's just not realistically attainable. But the countries that get the closest to that number are classed as the more powerful. In this video, we are going to take a closer look at some of the military forces. Maybe we might surprise you, and maybe not. So let's start from number 10 and work our way through the countries to the number 1 most powerful military in the world. At number 10 on our list is Pakistan, which holds a power index rating of 0.2083. This one we think is a surprise and a great improvement for them. In the same list in 2019, they ranked 15th, so an amazing jump of 5 places. The Pakistan Armed Forces were formed in 1947 when Pakistan gained independence from the British Empire. The forces are made up of the Army, Navy, and Air Force with a defense budget of $12.275 billion. According to the Global Firepower Ranking, Pakistan has an estimated total of 654,000 active frontline personnel, 2,680 tanks, 9 submarines, and total air strength of 1,364. It is estimated that Pakistan has an economically active population of 61,710,000. Next on the list at number 9 is Brazil, which holds a power index ranking of 0.2037. Brazilian armed forces are the second largest in the Americas after the United States, and the largest in Latin America by the level of military equipment, with 334,500 active duty troops and officers. Although in Pakistan it is voluntary to sign up to the military, in Brazil it is compulsory to do at least 2 years service and, if conscripted, between 10 to 12 months. An increasing percentage of the ranks are long-service volunteer professionals. In the early 1980s, the Brazilian Army became the first army in South America to accept women into career ranks. The budget for the Brazilian military is $29.3 billion. It comprises 6 submarines, 439 tanks, and a total air strength of 676. Brazil has an economically active population of 86,621,000. The country taking the number 8 slot is the United Kingdom, which holds a power index rating of 0.2008. The British Armed Forces have seen action in a number of major wars, including both the First and Second World War, the Napoleonic War, and the Crimean War, to name a few. Repeatedly emerging victorious from conflicts has allowed Britain to establish itself as one of the world's leading military and economic powers. Serving under the British monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, the British Armed Forces consists of the Royal Navy and Royal Marines, the British Army, the Royal Air Force, along with regular reserve, volunteer reserves, and sponsored reserves, totaling 195,050 active frontline personnel, all with the armament of 738 aircraft, 109 tanks, and 11 submarines. The United Kingdom has an economically active population of 35,412,000, with a defense budget of $56.042 billion. At number 7 on our list is France, which holds a power index rating of 0.1691. France has the sixth largest defense budget in the world and the first in the European Union at $47.7 billion. The French armed forces consist of the Army, the Navy, the Air and Space Force, the National Guard, and the Gendarmerie of the French Republic. The French participated in 50 of the 125 major European wars that have been fought since 1495, more than any other European state. France has an economically active population of 27,742,000 and an active frontline personnel of 270,000, with the use of 1,057 military aircraft, 406 tanks, and 10 submarines. South Korea is taking the number 6 spot on the list, with a power index ranking of 0.1621. Also known as the Republic of Korea Armed Forces, it is one of the largest standing armed forces in the world, with 600,000 active frontline personnel and 3,100,000 reserves. It also has one of the highest defense budgets in the world, amounting to $48 billion. The Republic of Korea Armed Forces were founded in 1948, following the establishment of the South Korean government after Korea's liberation from the Empire of Japan. South Korea has an economically active population of 26,839,000. This military is well equipped for warfare, with an armament of 1,581 aircraft, 2,600 tanks, and 22 submarines. At number 5, with a power index ranking of 0.1435, is Japan. The Japanese Self-Defense Forces, as they became known in 1954, are controlled by the Ministry of Defense, with the Prime Minister as Commander-in-Chief. Japan has an economically active population of 66,540,000 and active frontline personnel of 250,000, with a total of 47,900 reservists. Due to the Japanese Constitution abolishing conscription in May 1947, all enlistments for these forces are voluntary. The Japanese military has the use of 1,480 aircraft, 1,004 tanks, and 20 submarines, and a defense budget of $51.7 billion. Country number 4 on the list is India, with a power index rating of 0.1214. India boasts an economically active population of 521,900,000 and has a staggering total of over 1.4 million active personnel, which makes the Indian Armed Forces the world's second largest military force. In addition to that, it has the world's largest volunteer army. India also holds the third largest defense budget in the world at $73.65 billion. The Indian Armed Forces have been engaged in a number of major operations, including the Indo-Pakistani Wars of 1947, 1965, and 1971. Since 1962, India military have maintained close relations with Russia, including cooperative development of programs such as the fifth-generation fighter aircraft. The Indian Armed Forces are steadily undergoing modernization, with investments in areas such as missile defense systems and futuristic soldier systems. At present, it has 2,119 aircraft, 4,730 tanks, and 17 submarines. Number 3 on the list is China, which holds a power index rating of 0.0858. The People's Liberation Army is the regular armed forces of the People's Republic of China and has 5 major service branches: the Ground Force, Navy, Air Force, Rocket Force, and the Strategic Support Force. It is the world's largest military force and constitutes the second largest defense budget in the world, which comes in at $178.2 billion. Technically, military service with the People's Liberation Army is obligatory for all Chinese citizens, but in practice, mandatory military service has not been implemented since 1949 and has not been needed, as it seems the Chinese population are happy to volunteer, which shows by the 1,185,000 active frontline personnel and 510,000 reserves. The country itself boasts an economically active population of 774,710,000. To help the military with their operations, they are supplied with 3,260 aircraft, 3,205 tanks, and 79 submarines. At number 2 is the country of Russia, which holds a power index ranking of 0.0796. The Armed Forces of the Russian Federation was established in 1992 after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. The country of Russia has an economically active population of 69,923,000, and the active frontline personnel consists of 1,014,000, with 2 million reserves. Conscription is still used in Russia, with some exemptions, the term of service being 12 months. Although the defense budget has varied over the years, it now stands at $42.129 billion, which is not too surprising when you consider all the engineering that is involved in making of their 4,144 aircraft, 1,300 tanks, and 64 submarines. So, with a power index ranking of 0.0721, taking the #1 title is the United States of America. The military forces of the USA consist of the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Space Force, and Coast Guard. We are sure that it has come as no surprise that the USA, with an economically active population of 146,128,000 and a military active frontline personnel of 1,400,000, plus 849,450 reserves, have been ranked one out of the 10 most powerful military countries, with a defense budget of an incredible $706.5 billion, affording them 13,233 aircraft, 6,100 tanks, and 68 submarines. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to get more videos straight to your notifications.